What's up, bros? Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Did I startle you? What's up, bros and non-bros and gigolos? This is Canal and Colt speaking to you about today's market. Lot to uncover. We had another flat day, but there's still stocks moving around. So the price action has been a little bit weird, but there's been individual stocks still ripping, more on the small cap side, the mid cap side. But let's get to work because we've got pretty much an imminent breakout coming. And the QQQs, we're seeing no sign of digestion, even though we got a lot of cross currents. And so let's dig into this because I think it's kind of interesting. The QQQs is hanging out, right? And if you look, the SPY is hanging out too. And so we're in breakout territory. But, hi, Batu. Hi. But the interest rates are going nuts to the upside. And so we have this weird thing, like the rates are just ramping. And even then, the market is still holding up. So we have some interesting macro cross currents that are happening. But what I think we have to do is maybe just ignore this. This theoretically really shouldn't happen. The bond market is telling us something, but the indexes are just hanging out, right? And so maybe that comes to fruition where they just, yes, you could talk to it, where they just, end up finally forcing the hand of the market and saying like, hey, rates are going up. We don't like all this kind of stuff. And the market finally tanks. But right now, the market is holding up. It is slightly concerning that it's not willing to break out. But I think our next CPI reading will probably give us a big tell because inflation is rising slightly again. And, the Fed watchers are saying, hey, we may not be cutting as aggressively as we told everybody we would. But then on the other side, there are some Fed speakers that are saying, hey, we still need to cut. So we've got cross currents all over the place. So I think the key is let's ignore the noise. Let's ignore our opinions. Don't worry about the election. Don't worry about all these random things. Don't, if you look and you're thinking like recession, unemployment rates, election, it's all just noise right now because the market is still hanging out here. Now, it refuses to break out, but we do have speculation going in the markets. And so let's get into the watch list. Batu, let's get in. You want to get into the watch list too? Yes. Yes, my friend. All right, let's get into the watch list here and go for it because there's some good looking trades. Dude, we had a nice trade on DJT today. Couple times. Did we add it into the bone zone? Had a really nice rip. I missed the end of day stuff because I wasn't trading. But we have a remount here of the 200-day moving average. If we can take that out, we're in for some continued upside. It feels like a very, very controlled short squeeze / algo buying, and it's a little bit of a play in the election too. Kamala Harris was winning by quite a bit when she first came on the scene, and then post debate where Trump really kind of got a little bit ornery and turned a lot of people off. And then since then, it's just been he's been grinding higher, and this DJT, which is a worthless company, is starting to go up in prospects of this. One thing to just remember is I personally do more revenues than DJT. I think they did $500,000 last quarter. So just to tell you, it's a $5 billion company. They did $500,000 in revenue, but it's a play on his prospects, right? And so it's an election play, and it's starting to go up. I think we keep this on watch list. It's a flag pattern and a remount to the 200-day moving average. Hey, this lunar, dude, space stocks are still hot. ASTS for a hot second was up, 8-9% today? And then beyond that, hey, crazy legs. Beyond that, yes. Beyond that, RKLB looks great. Now this lunar is looking, guys, space is something. They're sending satellites up there. They're making nanobots, robots for all this space stuff. All of this stuff is coming to fruition. If you saw this weekend, Elon Musk tweet, right, where they caught that giant rocket with just these space hands, right? That was pretty damn cool. That's going to put a lot of action into the space stocks. You want to add some of these to your portfolio on a longer term basis if we get some big dips. But on a day trade basis, you got to keep trading these. It looks fantastic. IONQ, I'm watching this one for a rubber band short. If this one gaps up, so look, it's too orderly right now. If I'm going to short it, I want to speed up, a big speed up where it starts to like crush over, 10%, 20% gap, that kind of thing. Then we come in on the short. Right now, it's just so orderly that... Bachu, get your feet on your mouth, you dirty boy. You dirty boy. Yes. So let a big gap come up, and then we're going to be into this thing. A-Lab. Oh, man. I love the look on this, guys. I love the look on this. If you look here, you got a nice flag pattern that's developing. Dude, if this takes out this range, it's going to rip, right? 70's a spot here. It's got a pretty low float, 138 million shares. It's got a really good spot to it. Let's roll with it. Hood, nice flag pattern here. This looks like a swing trade and a potential day trade. For a swing trader, stop loss under the 9. If you're day trading, you can do this on ORBs and stuff like that. It looks great. Oracle. I'm looking at this one for tomorrow. If it breaks this trend line, I'll look at getting some calls, some 0 DTEs. Well, I wouldn't be 0 DTEs, but Friday expirations. I would do the 177s, 177.50s. They're pretty cheap. They're at 70 cents right now. If this thing, looks like it's got... You gandu. Do gandu che. You should gandu. Hey. She'll get the 177s. I think at 70 cents, we got a steal on that if they start to pick up some steam. It's about 1 day's worth of ATR. NCLH, after this big, long breakout, because this is a huge breakout, right? So you had this big breakout, then you pull back to the 9 EMA. You're starting to just flag out here. That's a good look. So when you get a big breakout, the first pullback tends to be the most easy entry, because everybody that missed the breakout tends to come in and they roll in with this one. So I love the overall look of it. It's got a good look to it. Boom. Pure Cycle. I actually thought this was one of those spin class companies, but I guess it's actually a pollution company. Pure Cycle is not a bicycle company, but it still looks fantastic. And I have an alert set at about 1180, and if it can go, then we're in for a nice little party. So I like the overall look of it. Keep an eye on this. Now look, Palantir, you got a flag pattern here. 45 is the IPO breakout. If you can break 45, you're in for, dude, a hot IPO breakout. It's a thick stock. It trades 2 billion shares. You'll have to do the options on it. I'd go maybe the 43s, maybe in the 43.50s if it looks like it's got an intraday setup. And you may have some big explosion into Friday where, if this thing hits 45 and breaks out, dang. Oh. PayPal. Dude, look how tight this coil pattern is, right? Look how tight this coil pattern is. This could break any day. Now, it does have earnings coming in a week, but for now, this next couple days, this is a huge focus. It's a low ATR stock. It only moves 2%. But on the option side, if you get, say, the 82 calls and this thing rips a couple points, I mean, you're making hundreds of percent. Like, you're in for a good shot right there. They're cheap. They're fairly liquid. And when they go, they can really go. Good. Now, Wolf Nation. The Wolf Nation had this big push. This push came on them securing some financing. So they got $2.5 billion in extra financing. It's a $2 billion company. So basically, they've staved off bankruptcy risk, right? For the period of time. You had this huge push on big volume. Now you're starting to pull back on much lower volume. Dude, I like the overall look of this thing. It is ready to party. What we just need to do is wait for a moment. I wanted to tap the 9 EMA, and then we're off to the races. NVIDIA, a little bit of a rest day. I would consider this an inside day. I would consider this an inside day. What I mean by inside day is when you have a big push and a breakout, right? It's breaking out all-time highs. When you get a rest day like this, where it's just up like 0.2%, when you just get 0.08%, it's got a chance to get going. So let's add this to the watch list. I got Pan W, 380 and some change. I think this is a swing trade. If it breaks, your earnings are not for a month. If you break, the measured move on this is multiple months. What I mean by that is usually the longer the base, the sweeter the juice, right? So you've got a base since January. So if it breaks out, it's not stopping after a couple days, right? What it's going to be doing is it's going to be going for a considerable amount of time. So I would roll with this one. It's got an awesome look to it. It's not my particular flavor of stock, but dude, you just can't deny like how hot this thing is, right? And so let this thing break out this area and we're good to go. UPST, this has been frustrating stock last couple days. It may just need this test of the 9 EMA. It's coming there. Look on the daily chart. The 9 EMA is at $50.60, right? It may need to test that before it rips. The flag pattern is holding. It's pulling back on pretty light volume. So now what we got to do is maybe just wait for the test. And with the general market being in a little bit of a malaise, I think that, it's just having trouble breaking out. But it's got a good look. And then coin. A week open on this. A tap back to the 200-day moving average. I'm in this thing heavy, right? You had this huge push. You're pulling back. Any week open. Say this gap's down 3, 4, 5 points. Dude, I'm in this thing heavy. I'm talking in. It's a great setup if it retests that because crypto looks like it's going to break out at some point. This is the leader of the crypto stocks. Why mess around? And if you look at Wolf, Cypher, all of these other ones, they're all ripping, right? So this has got a chance. The whole sector's going. And then TSM. So this one gapped up to 212 on earnings. If it gaps down tomorrow into the 9 EMA, or if it gets any weakness on this till the 9 EMA tomorrow, dude, I'm coming in on this. When you get a stock that has an earnings beat, the first pullback to the 9 EMA tends to be really, really effective. So I like the overall look of it. It's a good setup. And then look, if the nuclear stocks hold, because they did held up today. Oklo held up. It rebounded a little bit. So did NNE after the offering. This one tested the 9 EMA. It tested the breakout spot. Let's see if we kind of congeal around here. We may rip this thing back into the 20 spot. So let's watch this thing. Guys, be careful with the indexes. With the indexes being so kind of stagnant, you have to pick and choose your setups really good. Stop eating me. You have to pick your setups really, really good, meaning like you want to be a little bit selective. When the market is all breaking out, every stock will rip, right? Every stock will rip together. Right now, we're in a situation where only the best stocks are ripping, or the ones with the best themes. So be mindful of that. Till we get some big breakouts, some big momentum in the indexes, it's going to be a little bit more selective market, but you're still seeing it. Dude, I had to trade fund today, FUHN, we trade DJT. Like, I hate doing stuff like that, but that's where the action is in. That's where the action's in, so that's what we got to do. So, smash that like button, and we love you guys. Right? Hey. Yes? All right. We love you guys.
Peace.